Have you ever lost something that's really valuable, or maybe you've just misplaced it for a moment? I had a friend who used to tease me because for a little while, it was quite fashionable. Maybe it still is. I don't know. It's fashionable, but for a while, it was quite fashionable to carry a really big purse, a really big bag. And so I had these big bags, and I would drop my phone into it, but then I would, sometime later I'd panic because I couldn't find my phone. And inevitably, I'd reach my hand into my bag and I'd be squishing it around. And because it's such a big bag, and I would be so panicked because, I can't be without my phone. I'd be, going back and forth every which way. And my friend used to laugh at me and just say, Chrissy, you really get way too panicked about your phone. I think you need to carry a smaller purse, because basically I would get really panicked. And it was right there in my purse. I just couldn't find it. She always just tended to tease me about that. But it was because I had such great value on that. I can't lose the phone. It's expensive, or I need it. It's important. Jesus is talking to us about lost things this week. We've been looking at the stories of the lost sheep and the lost coin. And yesterday we considered what Jesus had to say to people who were lost. People who the religious people called tax collectors and sinners, people who were outside of the religious community. Today we want to look at those same stories, but consider what Jesus had to say to those religious leaders when he was telling these stories. And we already know the story of the lost sheep. We've talked about it a couple times this week, and we know the story of the lost coin. But I wonder if you noticed something. In Luke chapter 15, in verse 4, just as Jesus begins to tell this story to the crowd that's gathered, this is how he begins the story of the lost sheep. He says, suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Did you catch that? He doesn't say, suppose there's a person, suppose somebody has. He says, suppose one of you had 100 sheep and you lost one. So he begins to draw this analogy right around to the religious leaders and says, you have sheep under your care. You have people that you're meant to care about. And the idea is that the sheep and the coin belong to the religious leaders, that they're the ones who are meant to care for and protect the sheep. They're the ones who are meant to search for those who are lost. And yet the reality is, what we know in Luke chapter 15, verse 2, is that instead they sit in judgment. I can't believe that Jesus spends time with people like that. And so Jesus tells these two stories, and his message to the religious leaders is very simple. Essentially, he's saying, you're the ones who were meant to be pursuing the lost, and you're not doing what you should be doing. You're the ones who are meant to pursue those who've run away. You're the ones who are meant to rescue those who are helpless to come to Jesus on their own. You see, Luke tells us in Luke chapter 19, verse 10, that Jesus says the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. That is the reason that he came, to come and pursue those who need rescue and salvation. And what he said to those who followed him before he left is, if you're going to be my disciple, then you're going to carry the same mantle that Jesus carried, that we have the same responsibility to seek the lost and to bring them to the one who can rescue them. I can't save anyone, but it is absolutely my responsibility to pursue the lost. And so my question for you today is, are you seeking the lost? Are you willing to follow Jesus' example and pursue those people who are lost as if they are of great value? As if it's like that cell phone that I lost in my too big bag, and I'm searching around frantic, where, because it's so important. I have to find it. Are you willing to go through the effort? We learned about the nature and the character of God in the Sunday Connection. Are you willing to go to great effort to pursue those who are lost simply because they're of great value to God?